Hey, it's Irreverent Aegis here, and in this video I want to walk you through our Trifecta run for Veteran Depths of Malatar. The achievement is called Depths Defier, and it is accomplished by getting the hard mode, the speed run, and the no death all at the same time. Now we had a side mission when doing this Trifecta prog. We wanted to kill the first boss, the Scavenging Maw, before he was able to leap and hide a second time. I'll be completely honest though, we actually didn't do this in the same run that we got the Trifecta, but due to video editing technology magic, I was able to splice in this video with the rest of the bosses from the Trifecta run. So you'll see here, he's going to get wrecked, he's going to start breathing on me, and before he can finish his breath and go into hiding, he's going to be dead. Mission accomplished. Now where do we get all that burn from? I'm running the Atomic Aegis Necro tank build, which allows me to drop a Colossus that's powered by both Sack Seals and War Machine. Of course, I'm also wearing Incrodies, and I'm trying to proc Brittle as often as possible by staying on my Ice Bar that is charged with an Ice enchant. Of course, all of our DPS are wearing Balorgs, and we charge up our ultimate before coming into the dungeon, so they get that super powered ultimate drop as well, so we coordinate all the ultimates, drop them as soon as he gets out of hiding the first time, and as you saw, we were able to burn him down to 0 before he was able to jump a second time. Now, the leading cause of losing the no death in this dungeon for my groups is actually jumping off that bridge by timing it perfectly, so that way you don't fall in the water and you die due to fall damage. Luckily, nobody suffered that fate this round. What actually makes the no-death component of the Trifecta in Depths of Malatar so difficult is that all of the ad pulls you need to be really on point for and do properly, because the ads are a big source of death here, and most of the bosses are actually pretty challenging for survivability as well. So as we proceed, I'm going to go over some different strategies to survive the boss fights, and maybe even some of the ad pulls, at least at 5 times speed. For the second boss, the Weebing woman, I taunt her and pull her all the way towards the entrance door. That's because the first 2 AoEs end up being close to the middle. So if I can pull her close to the entrance door, the first AoE is going to miss us entirely, and the second AoE is going to also miss us. You'll see that pop up in a second. Now, we're using the Atomic Aegis strategy, so of course our burn is going to be high. So all I need to do is make sure that as the Stone Watchers spawn, I turn and pick them up before they have a chance to come in and attack our DPS. So you can see there, no big deal, running that Atomic Aegis strategy, very helpful because the boss dies rather quickly. The first ad pull after that boss is more annoying than anything, as there's an ad that likes to stun you, and another one that likes to put out a negate. So as you go to pick up those Stone Watchers, just be extra careful they don't reach your group before you grab them. All the other ad pulls before the next boss have 1 to 2 Stone Watchers, so again, just pull them away and make sure you grab them first so they don't run off and whack your DPS. For the Orb boss, I am doing a gear change, and I'm changing a couple of skills. I'm going with the Ultimate Aegis build here, so I'm going to put on Arcasis and Drake's Rush, and I'm also going to put on a set for Sustain, so I'm going to put on Stonekeepers. I'm putting on a Blood Altar on my back bar, and I'm also slotting Barrier. While the Atomic Aegis strategy is great for fights when you want to skip mechanics by burning through them and killing the boss quickly, the Ultimate Aegis strategy allows the group to gain a ton of ultimate throughout the fight. That way, for every phase of the fight, you have ultimates to use. In this case, the Orb is going to hard lock every 20% or so, and we're going to need to deal with side orbs, as well as killing 1 Auroran, then 2, then 3, then 4 of them. So it's actually better to be able to have ultimates ready frequently, rather than have everything ready for one big burst. When we're using the Ultimate Aegis strategy here is to make sure that we have pretty much an unlimited amount of barriers available for the group. This fight is challenging on the no death because we're not running a healer, and there are a ton of different mechanics that stack damage. So there's lightning that goes around, the orbs sometimes drop meteors on people, there's ice that comes up, so pretty much at all times anybody in our group is at risk for dying, going from 100% health to 0% health like that, without really any chance of mitigating the damage or healing them. So we have an ample supply of barriers. Every time we are about to kill the Aurorans and push the next phase, somebody pops a barrier. And of course I'm running Arcasis and Drake's Rush, so with 4 people in the group, we pretty much have 1 to 2 barriers for every round of the fight, trivializing the no-death component of this fight. As the tank, this fight can get pretty resource intensive, especially when there are 3 and 4 Aurorans up. you pretty much need to block the whole time, so it eats up your stamina while you're blocking. This is why I put on Stonekeepers, and also I did put on Bloodlord's Embrace. That way when I bash something and block it, it's going to be refilling my Magicka bar. So you'll notice I spend a lot of my time actually blocking on my Magicka bar, rather than just staying in my Sword and Boar bar most of the time. One thing that I want to point out as this fight wraps up is that I'm leaving on the Ultimate Aegis build for the next couple ad pulls because I want my group to have 500 Ultimate available, and there's only a couple of ad pulls, so they probably can't fill up to 500 between now and the next boss, unless of course I am running that Ultimate Aegis build. Once we finish up with this ad pull and the one on the other side here, that's when I switch back to the Atomic Aegis build, because we are going to wreck the next boss before he teleports a second time. Now, for a couple of runs in a row, we did have a couple of death mishaps for our DPS against King Narrowmoor. And the reason is there's a lot of RNG in terms of who gets hit with what stacks of damage after King Narrowmoor teleports for the first time. So we actually switched it up, so instead of me popping a Super Sack-Seal War Machine Colossus, I popped a Supercharged Barrier instead. So as soon as he teleports, we're all going to go to the corner that he's in. Of course, we're marking him with a Jesus Beam, so you'll see the Jesus Beam show going towards the entrance. That's how we know it's the correct one. You'll see me pop this Super Barrier now, and then I'm going to taunt all 4 of the King Narrowmoors, and I'm going to pull the real King Narrowmoor a little bit out of the corner. That gives our DPS a lot more room to move around and also be behind the boss, so they can avoid a lot of those AoEs. So whereas before we had a strategy where we just left him there and we stacked and burned on him, that was too much damage. So I pulled him out a little bit, and again we had that barrier, and of course I put out a Blood Altar just in case we have any oh crap low health moments. This still allows us with that Super Barrier and all of our ultimates with Balorgs to kill King Narrowmoor before he teleports a second time. The last ad pull before the boss is the trap, so I make sure to have a barrier ready right before. So after we kill this Ice Atro, I taunt, hit a Super Barrier, pick up all the priority targets, and hope that nobody does anything stupid. And it worked. Now I actually make a lot of changes to my bar for this final fight. First, it's to help my group survive, and second, it's to help me survive during that final execute once we get teleported into that other dimension. Let me go over some of the changes that I made to my bar. Because this fight has no ads, I took off Necrotic Potency and Silver Leash and replaced them with Blood Altar for a big burst heal for the group, especially after they were done being decrepit. And then I also put on my Damage Mitigation Ghost for myself. My front bar, I put on Heroic Slash and Defensive Stance. What I failed to do, and it almost cost us the fight, was switch my ultimate to the Sword and Shield ultimate. That makes it so that after you hit it, you block automatically for 8 seconds without actually having to block, and more importantly, it allows you to use your Sword and Shield abilities at no cost for the duration. That's big because if you get hit with Decrepit, and you will, during that final execute, you can't really heal yourself, and if you get hit with a heavy attack, especially by an empowered Symphony of Blades, then you're pretty much going to be in big trouble. But being able to hit that damage shield for no cost is really helpful because Decrepit doesn't last that long. Now, originally we were going for a very high burn strategy, of course using the Atomic Aegis build. So during that execute, we'd all run in, drop all of our ultimates, and we had 2 people in our group that have very strong executes, the Magplar and the Magblade. The problem was, during that phase, even though we could burn down the Symphony of Blades very quickly, somebody always died. And we were trying to figure out why, and usually it happened after the Decrepit, because the Decrepit hits pretty much no matter what. You can't burn them fast enough to avoid the Decrepit. And they'd get hit with like 9 stacks of Purification or something, and wouldn't be able to heal out of it. So we did have to make one change to the execute, and that one change is that our Magden in the group, instead of dropping his ultimate right away, he held on to his ultimate and hit a barrier right when I moved the Symphony. So right after everyone else's ultimates stopped, I would say, okay, I'm moving him, and as soon as I went to go move Symphony of Blades, our Warden would hit that barrier. That way, when Decrepit did hit and took away a lot of the health, they wouldn't actually lose any health, and they'd keep up plenty of that damage shield to avoid any other issues that were going on. Now let's get ready for some execute drama. So of course I apply taunt, I switch bars, buff up, the usual, apply brittle with my wall of elements, put out a blood altar, try to keep up brittle as much as possible when we drop all of our ultimates together, because we want to maximize that burn. So as soon as these Destros are going to run out, I'm going to announce, okay, I'm moving him, and you'll see the barrier hit by our Magnet. So of course I go over here to this ledge. Why do I choose this ledge? Because the ghost walls do not spawn all the way on the edge. So that allows me to just stand here and do my job as a tank. And that also allows our DPS to move around the ghost walls as they come up. So far, so good. Now I hit my shield wall ultimate, except I didn't realize that it wasn't shield wall. So now I'm going to spam my damage shield, and I eat up all of my stamina. So now I can't block, I can't do anything. Luckily, when I get hit with the meteor, I have auto break free on, and oh my god, look at I suck at life's health. Look at how I don't have enough to block. Look at how the Symphony of Blades is just ready to wreck me with that heavy attack, and I'm going to eat it. Oh my god, what's going to happen? Bam, he dies before the heavy attack goes off, and nobody dies. So, then we all just stand around shocked for a while because we did it, and we're just going to be like, huh, I can't believe how we almost died. I suck at life, had like 300 health there, and I was about to die. If that was a quarter of a second longer, I would have been dead. So we got it just barely. So anyway, if you liked this video, feel free to hit the like button or leave a comment, and if you want more content like this, I'd appreciate a subscribe. If you're looking for the Atomic Aegis build, check it out. I have the full build on YouTube.